In this video, I'll show you how to test the joint significance of two or more variables in a multivariate model. Joint significance can indicate whether a group of variables is statistically significant, even if the individual coefficients are not significant. Let me show you. To start, I'll open a file that contains at least 3 variables. One of them needs to be the outcome variable, and 2 of them need to be explanatory variables. This is a file of test scores that I found on the internet. I'm going to build a multivariate model that explains 7th grade reading scores as a function of previous year's test scores. I'm selecting the reading score on the left and then the explanatory scores over on the right. Now I have a model. The list of explanatory variables appears on the right. I can see that some of these variables are statistically significant while others are not significant. For example, if I go down to the 6th grade scores, I can see that these are all fairly significant, with p-values less than 0.0001. To perform a joint significance test, I simply hold Shift or Command and select multiple variables at once. Here I have the last 3 variables selected: C6R4 Reading, C6R4 Math, C6R2 Science. As soon as I select them, a joint significance test is performed. I can see the results in the bottom right. The p-value is less than 0.0001 and the f-value is over 100 at 118.237. This is a very statistically significant result. Now I can test the 5th grade scores and see if those are significant when evaluated together. Individually, I see that the reading score is very significant and the science score is somewhat significant with a p-value of 0.03. If I select all 3 of them, I see that indeed they are statistically significant. I can go back further to the 4th grade scores and test these 3 together. These scores are not significant when evaluated together. The f-value is only 1.4 and a p-value of greater than 0.2. I have the ability to select different null hypotheses. The null hypothesis appears at the very bottom of the screen. By default, I'm testing whether the group of coefficients is equal to 0. I can also test whether the coefficients are equal to each other, whether the coefficients sum to 1, and whether the coefficients sum to 0. For example, I've selected whether this coefficient sum to 0. The p-value is 0.078. This means that it's typically not considered statistically significant. Therefore, the coefficients may well sum to 0. We can't reject that null hypothesis. The type of test performed depends on the type of model that you've built. If you have a linear model, which is indicated by the model button over on the left, then an f-test will be used. This is essentially the multivariate version of a t-test. If you have another type of model, such as a logistic regression, then a chi-squared test will be used instead. In both cases, what's going on under the hood is a Walt test of statistical significance, rather than a likelihood ratio test, which is sometimes used with log likelihood models. That's about all there is to do with joint significance tests. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you have questions, please leave a comment in the comment section. Thanks.